Okay, hello. Hopefully your mock interviews went well. Today we're going to be looking at rotate string. So you're given two strings A and B, and a shift on A consists of taking string A and moving the leftmost character to the rightmost position. So if we look at A here and we move it to the rightmost position, it would be put here. And for example, it says B, C, D, E, A. Yeah, it's exactly shown here. And then you return true only if A can become B after some number of shifts on A. So it's arbitrary, the number of shifts. So we want to see if if it's shifted, it's there. So there's a bunch of ways to do this. Like a naive approach that you might think of at first is to calculate all possible rotation permutations and put that in a set and see if your set contains that. And that's good. You can actually optimize that really easily. You could say return so what you could do in Python is if you want to double a string, you can multiply it by 2. So if you have b and you say b times 2, that's the same as saying if you have this as b, here, wait, if this is b equals this, then b times 2 would be defined as this twice. And one thing you can notice that's really nice about putting about adding the itself to itself, or you will notice that ABCDE is now a substring in here, specifically ABCDE. And you can notice that this will always be true because and this saves you from having to churn out every single permutation, store that in a hash set, and here you can just duplicate it and check if you're in there. So if A is in B times 2, I think this should work. Oh yeah, you also want to make sure the lengths are equal. So length of A is equal to length of B. And basically what you want to do is if they're not equal, then you want to return false. So that's this edge case we're seeing here. So if they're not equal, then you want to return false. Here they aren't equal, and if they aren't equal, it's impossible for a rotation after some number of shifts to change its size, because then it wouldn't be a valid rotation. So let's just check that it doesn't. Yeah, so it still returns true there, but when we ask it to, it works. And it's a bit slow, so let's see if we can try and optimize this any further. So one thing we can do is, well, first, it's always nice to take care of edge cases like these. You can also say if A is an empty string and B is an empty string, then you can return true because that's another edge case. And everything else we can kind of do with this one kind of logic. What we can do is we could say for I in range of 1, and here we could either say length of A, length of B. I'll just say length of A. It doesn't matter. You could say either without loss of generality. And we can make some sort of temporary substring list. And what we could here is how I'll do it. I'll say temp is A of I. This is string splicing. If you're not familiar with it, you should have covered this in 621A. So this gives you a substring of the it gives you splicing gives you a sub list. So if you have a list 1, 2, 3, 4, then and let's call this list L. Then L sliced from 1 to the end, and if there's nothing here, you just assume it's the end, which is length of L minus 1. And you can notice that this will end up being 2, 3, 4. And that's very natural because, and you can actually wait, I think this is wrong. It shouldn't be -1. Yeah, because if you have 1 here, yeah, it would go 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, sorry. If you have this, then yeah, you would want to do 1 to the length of it to get this. Yeah. But you can also like leave this out and it assumes length of L. And if you leave the first thing out, it assumes 0. So here when I'm saying like something to I mean 0 to I. And if you do like 3, and once again, you can leave this out. It being there or not being there, it doesn't make a difference. But if we did that to 3, then we would get 1, 2, 3. So we would get 1, 2. Should be a 1, 1, 2, 3. Because we want to get everything up to index 3. So 0, 1, 2. But you don't include 3 with this. So if we did like up to 2, it would be like 1, 2. So that's like list splicing. It's pretty simple. You should know it, but that's like a quick reminder if you don't. And now that we have this temp, what we want to say is if temp is the same as B, then we want to return true. Otherwise, we want to return false. I think this should work. Okay, so this is a bit slower, but yeah, this is how you could do it. And the logic behind this is that like we start with index 1 and we basically take this up to like some index plus the rest of it. So like let's say we have A, B, C, D. Here, I think an example would be helpful. If we have A, B, C, D, we could permute this into like A, B and like C, D, E. And if we move this to like here, if we move it up and which is what we're doing here, and then if we say if this equal, but there's no space, and then we're like if this equals this, if this equals B, then you want to return true because there was like some sort of rotation. So the rotation operation is really done in this line with list splicing. So you can use list splicing as well. The one-liner is definitely a nicer solution. In fact, I think over here with this one, it's going to be impossible to do that. I think this should also work. Oh yeah, so that also works. Yeah. And that is rotate string. Thank you.